Hey, welcome back to Cool Classics. Today we're going to take a look at character actor Bernard Fox. You might know him as Dr. Bombay on Bewitched, or Col Crittendon on Hogan's Heroes. And who can forget Malcolm Merriweather on Andy Griffith? He was on everything. I got some cool clips, some freaky facts. Let's just find out who he really was and how he ended up on American television. He was born Bernard Lawson, May 11th, 1927, which is freaky for me because my father was born May 11th, 1928. His parents were Queenie Barrett and Gerald Lawson, both English stage actors. Now, one time while they were on tour in Wales, UK, his mother was pregnant and she had Bernard, so he was born in Port Talbot, Glamorgan, Wales. Bernard started performing at a very early age, so this made him a fifth-generation performer in his family. And by age 14, he was already an apprentice assistant manager of a theater. During the last 2 years of World War II, he served on a minesweeper in the Royal Navy, and he stayed in the service all the way through the Korean War. After leaving the service, he returned to acting and started performing on the London stage. This led to him getting a role on the first ever serial shown on independent television in the UK. The show was called Sixpenny Corner. Now, I can't find any video of it, but he was in the first 10 episodes from 1955. Then, in 1956, he appears in a British film called Spin a Dark Web, and his character is named MacLeod.
Sir, MacLeod in?
Yes, boss.
I want to see him. It was fixed for Walker to lose the fight last night. What happened?
Well, I told him to lay down, and he said he would. I suppose he changed his mind and decided he'd try and win.
Some dumb fighter changes his mind, so I got to lose a lot of money and get ulcers. Maybe you better go see the old man. Everything nice and quiet and polite, okay?
Excuse me, Mr. Walker. Could I have a word with you? Well, it's sort of confidential.
All right. What happened?
Well, I thought your boy and me had a little arrangement.
I don't... Get out of here.
Now you're being silly. I'm here on a friendly basis. Dan.
I'll give you just 5 seconds. He says that you
what
promised...
happened last night?
I'll show you.
And just like that, he's in the movies. A British mobster movie. Who would have thunk it? After that, he spent the next 3 years appearing in over 12 British movies, such as The Counterfeit Plan, The Safecracker, and The Two-Headed Spy. Then in 1961, he starts to appear on British television, on the TV show The Love of Mike, playing the character Malcolm. Then the TV show 3 Live Wires, playing Malcolm again, but for 26 episodes.
Go there.
Well, I reckon television will be the ruination of this country.
Oh, it's all right in moderation, maybe, but some folk become slaves to it.
Aye, it's a good servant and a poor master.
From here, things get a little confusing and interesting. I found a video interview with him from the 90s where he was at an Andy Griffith fan rally meetup. And he talks on this subject, and it doesn't fill in all the blanks, but the basic story is this. In 1962, his girlfriend at the time, Jacqueline, who was American, had to move back to the US because her work visa expired. Well, Bernard was madly in love, so he went to the US Embassy and applied for a work visa in the United States. Now, they told him it would take up to 6 months to be approved, unless he could move to the front of the line by meeting any of these certain criterias. He looked them over and he thought, well, wait a second, my father was in a tank division in World War I for the United States. So he goes home and tells his father about this. Now, his father can't find any of his paperwork, but the U.S. Embassy looked into it, and after 2 weeks, his father's discharge papers came to them, and they were signed by Captain George S. Patton. Because of this, it automatically makes his father a United States citizen, which also guarantees Bernard United States citizenship. So he now has dual citizenship. Welcome to America. Now, this piqued my curiosity, so I went on a bit of a tangent search here, and I'm going to ask for your help. All of you military historians, people that have been in the service, let me know how this works out. Now, his father's kind of a mystery, too. His name was Gerald Lawson, There's no Wikipedia on him or anything, but he did appear later on in some movies. But his real name was Bernard Mitchell Worsnop, and he was born in England. So how does an English person born there end up in the U.S. Tank Corps? Leave a comment down below and let me know. Maybe give me a thumbs up too. Now, the first thing he does is head to America and marry Jacqueline. So she becomes Jacqueline Fox, which really wasn't his last name. He had changed it from Lawson, which really wasn't his father's last name. You see what I'm saying here? When you're dealing with stuff in Hollywood, the names throw you all off track. But hey, he's in love, he's a United States citizen, and he's married. So what do you think happens next? The very same year, he appears in his first American movie, The Longest Day, starring John Wayne, and oh, this is a classic. Now, his role is very small. It's uncredited. He plays Private Hutchinson. And then it begins, his takeover of American television. In 1962, he starts on the Danny Thomas Show, playing the reoccurring character Alfie Wingate. From there, he was on 10 shows per year throughout the 60s. Here he is on Perry Mason.
But this is no longer a simple murder case. This is turning into a comic opera. You're perfectly right, Mr. Berger. This is not a simple murder case. Admit the Quatin cage was a fake. Not a fake, Mr. Mason, a reproduction. Intended to be sold as a reproduction. Suppose a shrewd businessman foresaw a huge profit by manufacturing in the Orient quantities of counterfeit art objects. Ridiculous. Mr. Stang, did you take over the Devore galleries as a front? I resent your insinuations. As I told you, I went to Mr. Haven's house that afternoon, hours before the murder, to recover the Quatin cage. I know it would make it very simple for you if I admitted this fabrication of yours, but what you suggest is ridiculous. But it so happens there was a witness. A witness who can prove you are lying, Mr. Stang. He was outside where you'd left him. That was after you murdered Gerald Haven.
And here he is on McHale's Navy episode, The British Also Have Ensigns.
Sub-Lieutenant Cliveden reporting for duty, sir.
Welcome to Terra 2, Lieutenant.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Oh, pardon me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, here, I'll get that.
How about a little spot of tea, Lieutenant? It's about that time.
Oh, thank you, sir. That won't hit the mark.
Yes.
I'd best go and fetch my gear before I cause any more trouble.
No trouble? Oh, no, Lieutenant. No
Thanks,
trouble
sir.
at all. What kind of a dumbbell did they send me? Why, he's a bigger klutz than Ensign Parker.
He was personally responsible for the sinking of 3 boats, sir. A hero.
You pinhead, the 3 boats that he sunk were 3 boats that he was assigned to.
Ready for assignment, sir.
What a maroon. He was also on one of my favorite shows, F Troop, episode The Phantom Major.
Vanderbilt, any sign of Major Bentley Royce? No, thanks, Captain. I just ate. Vanderbilt, keep your eyes and ears open. What's that, Sarge? Ah, forget it.
Major Bentley Royce reporting for duty, sir. Wanted to give you a practical demonstration of the infiltration tactics that have made me a living legend. Why do you think they call me the Phantom Major? My orders, Captain.
Yeah, search party is ready. Oh, that won't be necessary now, Sergeant. As you can see, the Major has already arrived. He must be in the closet. I got you this thing. Well, why doesn't the captain lie down for a while, sir? On the medical officer's cot. No. You see? There's...
The Bentley Royce tactics, F Troop will become a roving band of highly trained fighters with the ability to harass the enemy by roaming behind his lines. I shall also teach your men to, live off the land.
Live off the land. We're having enough trouble surviving the mess hall, sir.
Oh,
Oh, Wilton, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were busy.
Excuse me.
This is Major Phantom.
No, the Phantom Major.
Well, I'm very happy to meet you, Major.
Pleasure is mine, I assure you. Shall we? Cheer-ho.
Ain't he dashing?
Oh, I don't know. What's so dashing about him?
I love that show. Now, he also appeared on I Dream of Jeannie episode, Is There an Extra Genie in the House? Now, him and his assistant are just broke traveling magicians, but they get mistaken for genies, so they just go with it and pretend that they are the cousins.
Captain Healy, what are you doing here?
I came back to pick up some notes I forgot.
Oh, that's smashing. That's great.
Jeannie, you did it.
You have my permission to speak.
Oh, I'm known as Abdul the Great. Very pleased to meet you, I'm sure.
Nice meeting you. You can call me Master.
Hello, Master. Yeah, you aren't mad about us being here? You'll let us stay here for the whole 30 days?
30 days? I'm never going to let you go.
Now, the woman that was playing the fake genie, her name was Emmeline Henry. Now, didn't she kind of look like Samantha from Bewitched in a couple of those scenes? And speaking of Bewitched, Bernard played Dr. Bombay in 19 episodes. Calling Dr. Bombay, calling Dr. Bombay.
Emergency, come right away.
Hey! I've been having a bull session with my nurse.
Samantha, I found it.
Dr. Bombay, is that you?
Of course. Endora caught me clowning around with my nurse. Clowning around. I hope you realize you took me away from my golf game.
That's what you wear when you play golf?
It is when I'm playing around with my nurse.
His laugh, I swear. And I always wanted to see his nurse. Now, Paul Lynde, who played Uncle Arthur on Bewitched, also played in one episode of I Dream of Jeannie. And those two shows were competing heavily in the ratings. So that's kind of freaky, but very cool.
Tabitha, your favorite uncle's here.
Now, here's a little Bewitched fun fact that he told during this interview. He says that in order to make you disappear and reappear in the exact same place, they built a platform that has a pair of boots nailed down to them. So they slide that out there and get it lined up, and then they have you slip into the boots, and that's your mark. Then they line you up with a periscope from a submarine, and they mark where your shoulders, your head, your arms all were on this screen. And then they have you disappear, and when you reappear, they slip you back into the boots, make sure your arms, shoulder, and head all line up on this periscope again, and then they set off the little smoke and fire behind you. And one time, it went poof, and he thought, that one was pretty darn hot. And he looks over his shoulder, and his pants are on fire. He starts yelling, and they come rushing in to put the towels on him because he said, I couldn't get out of the boots in time. So 19 times on Bewitched, 2 times on the spin-off Tabitha, and don't forget about stuff like Farmer's Daughter 3 times, 12 O'Clock High 3 times, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. 3 times, and The Dick Van Dyke Show 3 times.
Mrs. Darwell, I don't think you understand why I came here. No, to talk about Priscilla and find out why she's beating up my son. Mrs. Darwell, I don't quite know how to say this to you, but your daughter is lying. That kid doesn't lie.
Hello there.
Mr. Darwell?
I'm alone in here with a very attractive young lady.
Oh, is she still here?
Mrs. Petrie seems to think we teach our daughter to hit people.
Well, my dear...
Don't argue with her.
Man, he was on everything in the 60s. We're talking like Flintstone cartoons, Munsters Go Home movie, Herman's Hermits movie, Monkeys TV show, I Spy, Burke's Law, Ironside, Daniel Boone, Wild Wild West, the list goes on. And of course, Hogan's Heroes, 8 times playing Col Crittendon.
The guards won't be making their rounds for another 20 minutes. Rommel is in suite 101. Down the hall, corridor on your left, third door to your right. After I leave, wait 25 seconds, then get cracking. Rommel should be asleep. Just to make sure, this syringe contains a powerful sedative.
Crittendon, wouldn't you rather Newkirk go?
Colonel Crittendon never sends a man to do a job he wouldn't do himself.
Mr. Memory has done it again. All right, watch this door.
Fine time they picked to have an escape and an air raid at the same time. Follow me.
So, we've got a mission.
Hogan, tell your man who's in charge here.
Okay.
He said the first season when he showed up, all of the cast members had a dressing room in the building. But Bob Crane, who played Colonel Hogan, had a trailer in the parking lot too. Now when he showed up for the second season, Werner Klemperer, who played Colonel Klink, had a trailer in the parking lot. And in the third season, John Banner, Sergeant Schultz, had one too. Now we're still in the 60s and we can't go on without mentioning his role on the Andy Griffith Show, 3 times as Malcolm Merriweather.
Where could I find a constable?
Well, I am the constable. Sheriff and constable are kind of the same thing. You're British, aren't you?
I come from down of Eckmondwike, up Derbyshire way. I'm on a bit of holiday.
Oh, wait a minute. Wasn't there something you wanted to ask me?
Oh, why? Yes. Could you direct me to Route 43, please?
Maybe I better write it down.
Oh.
Got to go right through the middle of town till you run into the intersection and right again. Okay?
Piece of cake.
Sure you got it?
Oh, absolutely. No trouble at all.
At the same time, he practically turned Mayberry into a disaster area. I never seen such recklessness in my life. What's the matter with you, anyway?
Notice anything about this bird? Think he's from around here. Fact is, I'd say he's from somewhere else. Maybe Canada. What do you think?
You know where he just might be from? Eckmondwike, England.
Where are you from, fellow?
Eckmondwike, England.
Bernard and his wife Jacqueline stayed married forever, and they had 2 daughters, Amanda and Valerie. Now during the 1970s, he didn't slow down one bit. He was all over television, and it was very diverse selection. From Soap to Columbo, Love American Style, Barnaby Jones, Emergency, Cannon, MASH. The only thing I don't see him on is Sanford & Son, but he was on What's Happening with My Buddy rerun. Yeah, Fred Berry, local legend.
You care to try?
Certainly. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Smashing day, isn't it? I said smashing day, isn't it?
I wouldn't know. I'm not into violence. See the console, too?
Yes, I am.
What about?
D.
Well, he started with his smashing stuff.
The 80s didn't slow him down either. He was on everything. Love Boat, Fantasy Island, Knight Rider, Dukes of Hazzard, Punky Brewster, Pee-wee's Playhouse. Here he is on The Fall Guy playing Santa Claus. Now his career did start winding down in the 90s, but he played in a couple big movies, one of which was The Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio. He played Colonel Archibald Gracie.
But I won my ticket on Titanic here at a lucky-handed poker. A very lucky hand.
All life is a game of luck.
Now here's something that he said that I thought was pretty cool. He said that Brendan Fraser contacted him and wanted him to be in his movie The Mummy. He said Brendan was a fan of classic television and seeked him out. He didn't even have to audition. And he said he treated me like gold. When we were in the sand dunes filming scenes, as soon as they said cut, he would take me by the arm and walk me over the little hill so I could sit down. He was like my personal assistant, but yet he was the star. He said the guy was very, very nice. And in a freaky coincidence, Bernard's father, Gerald Lawson, was in the original Mummy from 1959. He played an Irish customer, so they both got to be in a Mummy movie. Bernard said that every audition that he ever went on, it was required that he speak with a British accent. And most of the times, they would have the jokes or the lines written and ask him, do these make sense? Sometimes they would ask him if there are any other words that he could use that would sound even funnier to the American audience. On the Andy Griffith Show, his lines were to be, polish the bonnet and clean out the boot. And he said, you know, I could also tinker with the hooter. And everybody laughed. And I go, what is a hooter? And he said, the horn. So when they filmed that scene, he threw in the hooter. Now sadly, on December 14th, 2016, Bernard passed away of heart failure at the Presbyterian Hospital in Van Nuys, California. His wife and children were by his side. He was 89 years old. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I felt that Bernard deserved it, and now I can add him to both my Bewitched and Hogan's Heroes playlists. I might have to start going down the entire Andy Griffith list too. Click on my video of Cheerio Meredith. She's just like Bernard, everywhere on television. You know her. And subscribe. Cool Classics. I'll be back.